evening. Bakhmut apparently has fallen, and I say apparently because this is the claim by Evgeny Prigozhin, the leader of Bakhmut, of the Wagner Group. So this was not corroborated in any ways so far by the Ministry of Defense or any Russian official. So it's worth for what it's worth. I haven't seen this on TASS agency. I have seen on other media outlets, Russian media outlets, as a reference to the claim of Prigozhin, not as an independent source. Of course, Bakhmut is under control in the most, well, let's believe that this small part that was still pendant in the last 2 days has been taken over by the Wagner Group. The thing is that all the major analysts have already predicted for this weekend this to happen. It is a very symbolic, significant, with a lot of significance for the Russian morale. Psychologically, is very important, but also logistically and strategically, because after this is the crossroads from roads and railways and the logistic point of the Ukrainian military. That means that after that there are a lot of small cities or big cities, middle cities like Bakhmut and the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk conurbation. All this area comprehends 500,000 people. The next step, if this really taken over Bakhmut, let's see what happens in the next days and see if there is the corroboration and from the Russian officials to see if this really happened this way. I don't see any of this in the German media. You can forget. I mean, the Bild, which is a tabloid, but is the biggest. There's nothing on the cover. The Welt, neither. Frankfurt Allgemeine Zeitung, neither. This in the Western media, there is a blackout so far. So let's see for tomorrow, after tomorrow, if there's something more conclusive about this. By the other hand, Zelensky was yesterday, on the Arab League, making self-promotion. Well, he was invited, so he took the occasion to talk about his war. And today he was in Japan, in the G7. He's planning and was talking with the partners to make this. He really wants this fighter jet coalition. So this gains a little more importance in the media. So it might point that they will some sort of coalition of the fighter jets, even that is not like he wants. But for example, he was talking with Sunak, Rishi Sunak, the British Prime Minister, and Sunak said clearly that we will not give up. We won't give up because we are backing this war with. So we are siding with Ukraine, and here this is the problem. So Great Britain was since the beginning a major player here with Boris Johnson, with Rishi Sunak, and even in that 40 days government with the Liz Truss in the cabinet, she was a warmonger. So as are these two guys. So this is strategic for the Britons, and the Britons won't give up They have said it clearly. The Europeans are also supporting Ukraine as long as it needs, as they claim and they say. And so I think in Japan, the G7 have agreed on a lot of new sanctions against Russia. I think they want to isolate Russia from the rest of the world, and they are somehow getting to this point. And this is the problem here. Let's see how long that European Union and the United States and this Atlanticist consensus will can support this, because this is made on the expenses of the citizens, the European citizens, the American citizens, with economies going down, the British economy disastrous. But at the end, it doesn't matter for this elite. I don't like the elite word to describe these guys, but this government clique, they managed politics as a centralized power, like the Soviet Union, or even worse. They are worse than Soviet Union. They are totalitarians, and they speak in one voice, and they say everything the same. They are doing everything the same. Australia, Canada, United States, Great Britain, European Union, Japan, even now Israel is very supportive of the Ukrainian regime. They are accepting Hungary, that we have already talked about it. They are doing everything. They say the same thing exactly. So they are really united. Let's see how long this will keep this union between all these countries, especially here in the European Union, because this will start having a backlash on the society because of the economy, of course. But here is the point. The problem of all this is that in one part we have Russia that wants to win the war, and now if they really took Bakhmut, and the perspectives will be different and others, so they won't need peace in any way. On the other hand, we have Ukraine, because they don't talk for themselves. They talk on behalf of the United States and the Atlanticists and the NATO consensus. They want to win the war, and they want to take back Crimea, and they want to make very not realistic objectives. They have goals that normally are not realistic. And we have the rest of the world. The rest of the world wants peace. But the two major parts of the conflict, they don't want peace. They want to win. But Russia is alone on that, because it's one country. And Ukraine is not alone. They have the full support of European Union, because this is this Leviathan, this monster, this Soviet Union 2.0 that the European Union has converted, that are speaking for one voice, centralized. Everything is centralized. Ursula von der Leyen was last week I think was in Iceland. She said that we are in an economic war with Russia, and we are already, this was said like 2 or 3 weeks ago, in a war economy mode. We are and yesterday, I don't know if it was in France, one of the minister of finance or economy, I don't know, he said the same. We are already in the mode of war economy. So they will sacrifice the Europeans to support this war, but they want to win this war. And we are talking about the all European Union, all NATO, 40 countries against Russia. And Russia is not being sanctioned by the rest of the world, as here in Europe they claim. But they are not being, Russia is not being supported neither. So Russia is kind of alone with Belarus. And they have done already a lot, 1 year standing in war alone, because they don't have the support. I mean, China is an allied, but it's economically allied, not militarily allied. I mean, they are not supplying weapons. So I think these guys here in Europe, they believe that they can do this game for 1 more year, 2 more years, as long as it takes, because they will sacrifice their population. They don't care. They don't care. This is Soviet Union. Imagine, they are the apparatchik. They don't care about people. And at the end, Russia is by their own. And they have 7,000 or plus nuclear warheads. This is a big problem now. I think we have reached a point which is very dangerous. In the meantime, there is the special envoy from the Chinese government traveling around. He was in Kiev already. He will come here to Berlin this week. And this week, I mean from Monday on, he will travel to France. And at the end, will land in Moscow to speak with the Russians. Let's see if the Russians understand. I have no idea what is the peace plan in concrete. There is the 12 points that we already know for already 2 months or so. But the concrete plan will be now unveiled and talked with these parts. But I think the problem between Ukraine and Russia is much bigger than the ones that opposed Iran to Saudi Arabia. Syria war was solved, I think. Yemen war as well, after this agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia. This is one reality. But here we are talking about other things. Here, Ukraine is more complicated. Would surprise me a lot if the Chinese can bring an end to this war. But in the meantime, the thing is very complicated. But because we have already, are the terms that the Russians will they want to, in a hypothetical peace plan? What are the terms? I mean, that Finland goes out of NATO, they won't give back now, not that. And Russia has already said in December 2021 that they didn't want Bulgaria, Romania. At the end, in the last year, the NATO was strengthened with this war, or at least apparently. If this starts to fail, and don't forget that now in June or July there will be the meeting of NATO meeting, where there will be 2% or more of the GDP of each country, at least 2% compulsory to defense. That this will clash with economies, and that can be the end of NATO as well. That's a big hope for us, because otherwise these guys will escalate as far as they can to control, to destabilize Russia, or even destroy Russia, or at least to remove Putin, with the hope that some liberal comes, which is very unrealistic. So for the moment, it's still a dense, big black cloud in front of us that we cannot see much forward. this Bakhmut event today will be a major step for the Russians, but doesn't mean much in the big plan that will, because of all these factors that I told you, the economy, uh, the Europeans with this. These plans of this political class. Let's see what's happened. I will be back here soon. Keep posted. See you then.